There was a bunch of ideas that a few people wanted me to speak on, including Cern, antimatter, destruction of the world, the D-wave computer, and well, it always boils down to what's going on right now in the seeming timescape we're in and the planes we're on. And someone else was asking about the different planes and organic and inorganic beings. And let me make it as clear as I can through this piece of information here. It's that there whoever is in charge of things right now, whatever's going on, it seems like things are falling apart and things are being destroyed. A lot of it is done just through a technological and psychological level. A lot of it is just on the TV. A lot of it really isn't happening. We have to start there. A lot of it could be holographic. A lot of it is, like, as you start to look into this false flag, everything, it's it becomes very curious that to think that if someone was immortal on this planet, if someone was in control, if there was a group of people, no matter how small, there could be no way that they'd want to destroy the place that they live. So this, before we get into everything else with the computers and within the whole construct of what's going on with the D wave and these ideas, we have to first start with even the idea of these chemtrails or things that are happening in the sky, and then we can look to water and what's going on there. And if these people live on the planet with us, there's no way they'd be putting toxin in the air. I mean, there's already enough going on. Like, could this be one more false flag? I know I distill my water, I clean it, I see the repercussions of what occurs in the water industry, but that could be through the pipes, that could be through anything. They could be putting something in the water. I mean, again, this they just choose not to drink it. They could be putting something in the air, and they're just in places it's not as effective, affecting them. But and when we step to a higher level of this, and we get into the inorganics and the organics, again, everything starts up in the soul. And when you say up in the soul, you're talking about the masculine qualities. You're talking about the Jesus kind of quality, the archetypes of what is etheric, and then we're talking about the soil, and these are both souls. This is the split soul, the mother and the father of the soul, the soil of the earth and the black mother earth that creates the matter. And as much of the planet that has what you would call antimatter or you'd call inorganics that are making the technology, and that is the lowest form. It While it comes through the mind of the higher consciousness and it binds with the lower consciousness, they once again have to exist in unison. And there's nothing that could destroy the highest consciousness. If it was vibrating faster, which it is, if it's etheric, what's on the earth and what's in a physical format can't touch it, can't do anything to it. So this idea of destroying the earth, destroying things, it could happen in a timeline. I assume it could happen to uh, what we'd consider a certain set of frequencies. A certain set of frequencies in a very low level could get shut off. Or not necessarily shut off, it would be more like if things dropped beneath a frequency, it would appear to be gone. But if you go up in frequencies, what's beneath you disappears just as well until you can encompass them all, and then you can jump in and out of time, and that goes into astral travel and everything. But certainly, if we look at the D wave computer and producing even carbon, as it's said, and what the hadron collider is, and we look into Cern, right off the bat, I don't know that they're doing anything more than um, a, a low form of magic, a lot of psychology. I don't know what their technology does. I mean, can we see it? Is it touching us? Is it there, or is it just like a lot of these things that are going on through the media, through Hollywood, through um, basically mental and physical mental and physical, or psychological and technological. Um, you know, it's an effort to do high magic, but if they don't have the highest form of magic, meaning if they don't have a soul, they don't really have access to that, because out of the soul, it comes straight down. So what's up there can't be injured. It can't be, the greatest of ideas will always exist, and the greatest of the soul will always exist. Just like even if you destroyed the earth per se, it would all fall down into the earth, so it would still be there. There would be no real destruction. And what are they doing? They're trying to attempt to do something that they do anyways, or maybe they're just showing you. What they do anyways is they create. What you do anyways is create. What you are anyways is connected to the soul from the soil. You're the whole. You're the ladder. You're the whole thing. So is this the second stage, as someone had pointed out, of destroying the world? What was the first stage? It's kind of in the same line of thought as, oh, the new world order is coming. The new world order, like, if anybody didn't get the memo and the message on that, it's that's the mind trick right there. It's already been here. What do you think has been going on? The whole world is always anew. It's the new order, however you see it fit. Where you live, what you think, what your existence is. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on outside of us on a carrier wave, I guess, on a larger frequency. But there's also a lot of smoke and mirrors, and there's a lot of trickery, and there's a lot of people making maps that are wrong. There's a lot of people that are just outright fooling you. There's a lot of so if we can bind all that and say, well, what are we getting fooled on here? What to what level? Like what all of these things, that there is some sort of anxiety that the population has about something. What if it's not exact? There's a lot of people that are like, oh no, that nothing bad is happening, and they're the ones that are most deluded. But at the same time, you have people that go in the exact opposite direction and say, oh, everything's a wreck, everything's terrible. But in fact, as we continue on this path and center whatever's going on, we realize the connection between the soul and the soil, and realize that whatever these computers are doing, you could think of the Tron, the movie Tron, with Jeff Bridges, or the second one, even more so, where he got into the computer. And it I don't people could fall down into that set of frequencies, and that's kind of what it shows you, to get stuck into a digital frequency. And it's not that anybody on this level, we could look at it now on that plane. You can look around you and see people that are stuck into frequencies. And you can see people that are doing new things. You can see people that are doing organic things. You can see things evolving, devolving all over the place. Things are going up and things are going down. But this even to go further on this idea of the inorganics overtaking, and artificial intelligence, it the highest thing that exists, while the drama, the play, the everything that's going on, while there's a lot of that going on, and at the highest form, if you were the creator, you would always have the route out. It would always be written just as all the storybooks are. Because if you're a magician, and if you think you are, if you're listening to this, you're probably on board with writing your own script. And even if you're writing your own script in the digital world, somebody can drop down into that digital world and enjoy that. But there's an organic world you could write a script for just as well. And that's the higher level of magic and spirituality. And people in this physical world are using technology to do what the magical spiritual realm does. It's the difference between digital and analog. The analog system is the magical spiritual realm. The psychological mental realm is what binds the two, and the technology in the physical realm is, where we play these things out. But we can go lower, and that lower is to take the technology and turn things into a digital system, and that's artificial intelligence. But that because that can only come from the mind of the highest, then it can't it doesn't seem to it couldn't overtake the system, because an organic system is, they would end up separating, and in the term of separating, I would mean that there would be things that would vibrate higher and things would vibrate lower. So your reality would, you have really no concern over it. You have no concern over those types of realities. You would just put yourself in a place where those realities don't exist. And the way you would do that is, through all these things that we've talked about for the last, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of videos I've put out now. And you would cleanse yourself and put yourself in a position of writing your own story, of making your brain, because your brain is the access point for the mental. It's the access point for your spirit to come into your body. That's why they're on top of your skull. You have that spot in the back of your skull that spirals in, and then you have a spot in between your ass, and it's your taint, and they're both your spiral. They're both entry points into your house, just like the bottom of your feet are. It's another entry point. But you think of it in the term of meditation and what that means and why they sit like they do in the posture they do, because one is taking in the portal from the ground and one is taking it from the Most High, right? So the skull is the entry point for the spirit. This is why a lot of people wear hats. They wear the yarmulke. It's a lot of cultures, you don't touch the kid's head because you could actually be sucking out the spirit from their body or injecting something into them. And so from that point, you take the information from the whole soul and it's divided up into your being. And you are that piece of that spirit. But that spirit can jump back up into that soul, which bypasses the hive mind. Again, this is a little different. I've discussed this before. The hive mind is the psychological mental hive mind. It's levels below the magical spiritual realm. The magical spiritual realm owns that. The psychological manipulation is the trigger points that they use in media. That's what they use in the television. That's why they blast you multiple times a day with the same piece of information, because it's not true magic. It's just psychological. It's just a redundancy on your brain, on your conscious mind, and trying to jam something into your subconscious. And it's worked on a lot of people. But on the magical level, on the spiritual level, what do? You write something down, you focus on it in your mind, and then you burn it. Or you don't even write it down to begin with, but you burn it in your mind and you put it out there into the soul. And there's no second guessing. There's no let's do that again. Let's do that 50 times today. Let's make sure we run that ad on television. This goes into what the money is and what the matrix, the moon cults and the currency that comes from Mooney, which is not the sun, which isn't the thing that makes things grow. It's just a secondary artificial system. And that works, and that connection to money and the moon and that artificial secondary system comes out of the energy which is the soul. So the soul, which is coming through the sun, which creates the magic and the spirit. The next level down is the psychological manipulation. And level below that is the technology, because the mental controls the technology. The mental mind. So this goes even farther into these people that work within certain scientists and certain, well, not certain, but all of these people that are at high levels, they have been already programmed. Their mind already works on becoming compartmentalized. They've gone through a system which they've learned how to use their brain in a compartmentalized digital fashion, in a way that their brain is already hardwired into the philosophies of that, whatever that science is, whatever that religion is, whatever that corporation is. This is how people get to, obviously the higher levels. And that connection to those algorithms, I guess you would call them, to those thought forms, when they're in there, they're boxed up. They're not holistic thinking beings. So there's even though these people are out here publicly saying, "Oh, here's what we did at Cern," you don't know, that person could be sitting there as a PR rep that sits in the front office that has never even been back in the lab. And then you could have one person in the lab which has only been in one part of it, or it could be a digital picture. You don't even know that exists. And there's people that could be out here like, "Oh no, I work at Cern." Like, yeah, this is all well and good, but I mean, we've seen what's gone on within NASA. We can look at the the CGI, the everything that's going on there with Hollywood and with so that's already, we have to realize that these people within these institutions, there's not a lot of them, and the ones that are at the highest level that are getting paid the most, well, if someone's paycheck relies on them not knowing something, then they're not going to know it. And so the power and the control and everything they have at that highest level, they will continue on with that idea, and they'll continue to push it. Why wouldn't they? But that's still secondary, because now that's going through the mental and psychological level, because from a magical spiritual level, that's bypassed. And all this is here is, well, if years ago, many lifetimes ago, you were sitting there as the king and god ruler of the world, you'd always have a way out, and you'd put an idea into your head, push a button, you know, trigger yourself to sleep, whatever it might be. You'd have that dream, and then you'd wake up. And somewhere in there, in the waking up, oh, I have a lot more control over this reality. How big my auric field is. How much of this reality do I actually affect and control? And then all of a sudden, these secondary systems, and these people within these secondary systems, they start to be altered. You're the one that pushes the buttons on the keyboard. You're the one that loaded the program. These people, even in these higher levels that are doing the programming of the computers, it was a back and forth. They were programming the computers, and as they were programming the computers by hitting the buttons, they were getting programmed themselves, because those ideas in the computer came through them, and it basically regurgitated itself. But there's always that spark of life in the person, because the consciousness was what programmed the computer. So at any point in time, whatever's inorganic can be traded in, can be burnt, can be changed, can be the system can be upgraded, and it always comes, and it gets upgraded from the highest source. It's vibrating faster. It can't be affected by what's at a lower level of vibration. It just can't occur. So I hope that answered everyone's questions, and it was a fun little journey for you. We'll chat soon.